All right, Liam, firstly, thank you very much for your time. Really, really appreciate it. How are you and how's your family doing?
Yeah, really good, thanks. Family's good. I've got two little ones, so they're forever growing up. Um, and myself personally, I've been injured for a while now, but I can see some light at the end of the tunnel, so I'm happy.
Yeah, it's been 6 to 7 months, as you have said. Would you say month after month you're regaining that strength, that sharpness that you need to get back on the pitch?
Yeah, I'd say so. To kind of break down my injury, like just as a quick overall, I spent 4 months doing nothing at all. My kind of remit from the surgeon was to spend 5 minutes an hour at maximum on my feet. So I was doing next to nothing for a long period of time. And gradually I had to start from the very bottom, if you like, building fitness up. That started on bike. And most recently that's gone to the treadmill. So yeah, step by step.
And how supportive have, your family been? And also, of course, the injury was sustained at Stoke, but, did they send their well wishes as well when you were on loan with them?
Yeah, to be fair, my support network's been good. As I said, I've got a young family. So they've kept me on my toes as much as I could be. But the injury was kind of well strange to be honest with you. So I was had a an issue with my left knee that was niggling for a little while, and then I eventually signed for Stoke on loan. I came away with Jamaica for the two games. One of them I had to fly back from to do my medical with Stoke. Played a few games, and then I actually got injured with my right knee in the FA Cup. Just a normal block tackle, which ended up to be an LCL on my right knee. On my right knee, I went in to get that scanned, and whilst I was there, I just said, my left knee is not feeling too great. Can we just get it checked out? And well, long story short, that's effectively saved my career. I had a big problem going on in there. I had bone marrow edema. So for people that are not too common with that, it's like a bone bruise that can eventually turn into breakage of the bone and a hole in the bone. And in professional sports, that's a big problem.
In terms of, the challenge that you had with the knee and other parts in that area, is this an issue that you had at Leicester as well, or it was just something completely different?
When I was 16, I had a procedure done with my meniscus, which over years can turn into different issues. But I'd been through 12, 13 years with no problems at all. Never missed a day's training. The only injuries I'd sustained over the years was contact injuries. And then it went to a stage of 0 to 100 overnight. Went in for a tackle, felt it a little bit, thought I could push through like most things. And if anything, I was doing more good than, well, more damage than good, should I say?
Yeah, I understand. Quite unfortunate. As it relates to right now, is there a timeline given in terms of being back at least training on the pitch or not just yet?
Yeah, I've got a goal in sight. We've got the World Cup break this year. Obviously, unfortunately, we didn't qualify, but that gives a lot of people to a good chance to rest and recover. So in that break, that's my kind of pre-season. So I hope to be fully up to speed by the end of the World Cup break and fit and fire and ready to go.
And just to get in the facts straight, are you still under contract at Reading or right now you're a free agent?
Yeah, I'm still under contract. My contract finishes out at the end of this year. So I've been doing my rehab there. As I said, for the first 4 months of this injury, I was homebound and pretty much bedbound. But for the last 3 months or so, I've been in at Reading. They've been treating me very well. The rehab's been very thorough. Sometimes a little bit too slow for my liking because I missed the pitch, but at the same time, it's step by step. And to give people a clearer picture, it's a case of one day I'll go on the treadmill and do 50% body weight. Next, 2 days later, 55. 2 days later, 60, and so on, just to see what the body can withstand. But it's been really promising, for such a big injury. I'm looking to touch pitch Monday. So as soon as I get back on the pitch, that's a case of I've ticked every box I need to do, and it's just a case of getting fit now. So yeah, that's the plan.
Oh, very, very nice. Very encouraging, Liam. Really, really appreciate that. Now, as you know, in the last 6, 7 months, it's like so much things have happened. We're going from where Tapa was your gaffer with the national team to Paul Hall, and now Coach Halgrimson. I just wondered if you had a chance to watch that game against Argentina last month, and see the new players or the style under this new coach.
I've seen the highlights. If
Mm,
I'm right, the time was I think it's like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning here.
mm.
So obviously the rigorous days in rehab, I didn't manage to catch it live, but yeah, I got a chance to see the highlights. There's things that's been said. There's obviously articles. There's a clear approach now to kind of how we want to go about things moving forward, and I think there's room for more defenders, if you like. So that's the plan, hopefully, to get fit with my club and put myself back in the frame.
Absolutely. And you're in your late 20s thereabouts. And as I made mention earlier, there's the Nations League next year, the Gold Cup. So 2023 certainly is a grand opportunity for you to basically get back up to speed with where you were perhaps 2021.
Yeah, busy year. Obviously, I've had an experience with the Gold Cup before. I think we did okay. But I think it was a large proportion of the team's first Gold Cup. So the experience is there now. We probably got, people would say, maybe the hardest draw in our game that we got knocked out in. But again, it was an experience that opened our eyes, if you like. International football, big stage, big crowd, and kind of the level that international football's at, especially in the CONCACAF. So yeah, it's a case of just trying to get back in the fold, as I said, and getting that team to gel. There's a lot of experience in it, but you've also got to gel as a team and individuals.
Yeah, and when you look back at, when you made your debut for Jamaica early last year, there's a lot of new players making their debut for the country, such as yourself, Ethan Pinnock, Andre Gray, etc. You feel, with the quality of yourself and others that once you get a nick of games together, 5, 6 games, then that team will start to click, you feel, moving forward?
Definitely, yeah, and it's a struggle of all international setups. I imagine, of getting a consistent squad together, whether that be injuries, flights, COVID, all the other reasons that can prevent you from doing that. Trying to get a good core together on a number of occasions will definitely help. And for me personally, and I imagine a lot of the boys will feel the same, it would be good to kind of have a real introduction to international football. And what I mean by that is every game I believe I've played in, there's been some sort of COVID stipulations. We met up in Austria. It was 20 odd hours a day lockdown. I've been to Japan, which was 23 hours a day lockdown. Obviously, we had the COVID struggles at the Gold Cup, players in and out of the squad, isolating. Um, I've not played a game yet back in Kingston with any more than 2 to 3 thousand fans.
Mm.
So it's a case of, yes, obviously the team needs to gel, but I think the fans and the team need to gel as well. We need to come familiar. The fans need to be coming to games and knowing what they're coming to see, and familiarizing themselves with the players and the squad and the direction that the country's planning to go in.
Absolutely, that's something that's incredibly crucial in the grand scheme of things. Maybe you're aware, maybe not. In Reading's academy, there's two players that made their debut for Jamaica at the under 20 level, Jamari Clark and also Kanaya Boyce Clark, the goalkeeper. I just wanted to know if you had any conversations with them about Jamaica before.
I haven't done. No, I know they made their debuts in the summer.
Mm.
Um, Jamari played a couple of games last year for the first team. Scored a couple of goals as well. So introduced himself quite nicely. And yeah, Kanai has been about the first team for 2 or 3 years now in terms of training. So they've got pedigree. They've got ability. I knew that both of them was pushing to play for Jamaica, and I just think the timing of my injury and me being away from the club for a number of months, never actually had the chance to see how that experience was. But I think that's it's good on all levels. It's good for them to kind of get the exposure and get international football, and I think it's a strong call from Jamaica to get these players in academy so young and get them into the system.
Absolutely. And I'm just wondering, when you were at Leicester at the time, did Wes Morgan talk to you about Jamaica or anything regarding national team at all?
Yeah, there was brief conversations,
Mm.
but I believe there's a lot going on as well behind the scenes there as well. Um, I think Wes was obviously a key figure in trying to sort that out, along with Maps that's still in the system, and almost like a big brother, if you like. He wanted to kind of protect me at the time. enjoy your club football, find your feet, find who you are as a player, and hopefully the system would start to sort itself out in terms of all the things that you probably take for granted, your travel, your accommodation, all the other things that come with it. And I think when eventually, the call came and I could have the conversation and kind of explain what I'd been spoken to about and how things have been explained to me, he gave me his blessing. It was a good thing to do, and it's a decision I'm very happy about. Like I said, I've not had the easiest ride. I don't think any of us have really that have joined in the last couple of years with COVID, but it's something I'm still very committed to. I'm desperate to get back on the pitch, and the Gold Cup. It'll be a pleasure to go back and get involved in that because it was a strong competition.
Absolutely. And bearing in mind the time frame that you had getting that Jamaican passport, how challenging was it? Because you have some players that it takes longer the process. It's a longer time compared to others, you know?
Yeah, yeah, it's a shame, really. I imagine some people might, if you like, get lost in the system with how long things do take. Mine was a number of months, a number of trips to the embassy in London, sometimes getting rejected from the embassy. There was even a time where there was questioning the legitimacy of my documents. Obviously, I had my nana's documents at the time. I took them in. They was done by pen, and one of the numbers looked like it. Well, they said it looked like it'd been changed. It was just pressed on harder than the others, and that took me 4 or 5 months to kind of resolve. Um, but listen, I just took it on the chin. It's one of those things. Stayed persistent with it, and eventually got it. But I do think that in the future, especially the route that we're trying to go, these things need to be a bit more easier, if you like. I'm not saying to jump any queues. I'm not saying that you should have any special treatment, but just a bit of open dialogue between club, country, embassy, and so on and so forth, because you can potentially lose players in that time frame. People with dual representation, dual citizenship can end up playing for a different country because it's convenience, and that's a shame. There's some real quality that's got Jamaican heritage, so we need them in a system.
Yeah, well said. And certainly the Jamaican FA has a role where that is concerned as well. You spoke earlier a bit about maps, and I just wanted your thoughts about the longevity that he's had in his late 30s back in England now. You see the way he trains, what he eats as well. Is that in a sense a motivation for you when continue and get back on the pitch?
Yeah, of course. Uncle Maps, as he's known to the boys. Yeah, he's gone for so long, and he's kept the quality as well. Some people go for a long time because maybe that's just their choice, but they're just there for the sake of being there. But Maps is good. Maps, if you didn't know his age, you'd look at him and think he's probably just turning 30. Trains well. I don't know how he does it with no meat in his system, but listen, he's a vegan and he's a strong one at that. He's a great guy. I think he's one of them type of guys that you need in the system for as long as he wants to be in the system. Eventually, his body will catch up on him like it does for everybody. But I think Jamaica should do everything they possibly can to get him in the system in some way, shape, or form, whether that's with the youth age groups, whether that's as a mentor or eventually as a coach or a manager. He connects people on all levels, the young players, the new players coming in. He's been a credit to himself and the country for a number of years.
Absolutely. For a decade, he's done just so. By any chance, have you started your coaching badges, or that's not something on the table right now?
That's something that's in the process. So I've just applied to start that. I've also started my scouting course. So I've done my level 1 on scouting. I'm into level 2 now. And I'm doing a sports marketing and management course as well. So I think injury, a lot of people say it, but it's true. It opens your eyes. You think you're invincible, you think you'll go forever, but that's not the case. So I've tried to be productive with my time. There's a method behind everything. Coaching I'll do because I feel like it would be neglectful not to do that. But the sports marketing course, the management course, and the scouting, I want to be an agent when I finish. A lot of people want to do it. A lot of people have their own ideas of it, but I think there's a real open market there for somebody to have played the game. So you can speak to a player on a number of levels. The scouting, I believe that too many agents jump on the bandwagon when a player scores 2 goals for the first team. It's like, oh, we need to sign a player. I want to be looking younger than that. I want to be, kind of getting on board with these players as a youngster, 14, 15, 16, and have the longevity with them, for a number of years. Um, and yeah, that's kind of my plan to go with it. And I think that you can, if you've got the right kind of resources and you've got the right mind for it, you can be one of the agents that can help a number of different parties. Clubs will ring you for a player and you might not necessarily have that player, but if you've got that eye for somebody, just because your player isn't getting the move, it doesn't mean another player shouldn't. So yeah, that's kind of my plan moving forward. But the coaching badges are going to be there as well because you don't know what's going to pop up in the future.
Hmm. Yeah, very true. And on the playing side of things, when you see the likes of Leon Bailey scoring, Antonio doing his bits at West Ham, Bobby Reid on target, Jamal Lowe, how encouraging is it to see, your fellow Jamaican internationals in the Prem, in the Championship, doing great things and, pushing for the top honours?
Yeah, it's exciting, right? These guys, they represent us. It's an exciting time. We get these players gelling and we get these players on the pitch at the same time, healthy and prepared and set up right. We can have a number of years with success. Um, we've been deprived of it for a long time. We really wanted this World Cup, but for a number of different reasons, it didn't happen. Obviously, we have to take responsibility ourselves. We didn't perform, but if we can get everybody singing from the same hymn sheet now, we have to look forward. And it's a case of these competitions that are coming up, we have to take full advantage of them and start to put these performances together. Because what I would say is on how long my process alone took and maybe other people's, it's maybe taken 2 or 3 years away from potentially getting this team together. Right now, if you look at the core age group of the players, the UK based players that have come in, we're at 29, 30. We're all born around the same time. Bobby Reid, Ravel Morrison, same birthday, probably 3 days, 4 days after mine. Ethan Pinnock, similar. Jamal Lowe, similar. Daniel Johnson, 29, 30, we're all around that same age. So this is the time. It's kind of now or never. So if we can get this mix together and get this fluidity throughout the team, we can make an impression. But as I said, then it needs to be now or never, really.
Hmm. Yeah, 1993 is a good year for many reasons. So a lot of players born in that year, including myself. But in terms of the on the Reading side of things, on club side, you see just a couple of points off the playoff positions. How would you say they've been doing this season? Because I know from you might be watching from afar and tracking to see how the boys are doing. Paulin's in charge, and a couple of new signings at the club too.
Yeah, fantastic start, to be honest with you. Um, a lot of people wouldn't have foreseen the position that we're in, and there's been a couple of bad defeats along the way. But at the same time, to be where we are right now, this stage of the season, is credit to everybody involved under a transfer embargo,
Mm.
not being able to pay for players to come in, losing a number of key players last season on a free because the club probably couldn't compete with what other clubs were looking to do. But all in all, a strong start. A number of bumps in the road so far with injuries, but people are stepping up to the plate. So it's a good start. Let's get to this World Cup break, kind of recuperate. And then the manager spoke openly about the season's all about staying up. I guess that's to manage a lot of people's expectations from the outside and also within because it's a young squad as well. So you don't want to be running away with yourself, but get to that point and then you can look forward from there. But so far, so good.
I felt that for all of your career that you've always led by example on the pitch, and you've had the privilege of wearing the armband at different levels, and from the times that you've been on loan, you've shown that you lead by example on the pitch for your performances. Is the armband a target of yours, or it's just about ensuring that you play your best each and every game, and whatever perks comes your way, you'll take it in a sense?
Yeah, I guess it's a combination of the two. Growing up, it was something that was kind of not pushed on me, but was recommended for me as a young player. I was always quite vocal, and I had managers that was very keen to push me on that. And then when I got to 17, 18 age group, that was something that I wanted, that responsibility. And then my dream was growing up to be a captain of a football club. But I think sometimes you can think too far ahead with that. You get the captaincy for how you've behaved and how you've played and how you've acted for the times in the past. So do that and don't change that when you're captain as well. So it's a case of just going out there, performing, training in the right way, conducting yourself in the right manner. And I've been lucky enough to do it. I've done it a number of occasions. And I actually got to wear it for a little bit in for my country after two or three appearances. So that was special, and it says to me that the communication and the conducting side of things is right, and to continue to do the same.
And the time that you had with Leicester, the Premier League era part, and when you look at the performances that you had that campaign, when you saw and looked around you, you had the Vardy, you had the Wes Morgans of this world, Danny Simpson. Did you feel like, hold on, something could actually happen? And of course, the next season was the Premier League title. Did you feel like something was building there, that the club, there was that excitement, that enthusiasm based on how the results that you had beating Man United at home and amongst other results?
Yeah, momentum's probably the biggest word in football. I started the first year in the Premier League. We had the momentum. We'd just come up from the Championship and done really well. 100 odd points. Took the momentum into the new season, and that quickly swung around, and we struggled for a long period of time. But if you remember, a lot of people remember the Premiership win and forget about what's classed as the Great Escape. Um, I spent a lot of time on the bench and watching from the sidelines, but I was there and I've seen it firsthand. The Great Escape, the momentum completely swung all the way back around again, and I think it was 9 out of 11 games at the end of the season. A lot of change happened that summer. New manager came in, new players came in, but I think the key thing in all of that was that the momentum stayed the same, the formula stayed the same. The new manager Ranieri seen it was working, allowed it to continue to flow. If it didn't, he would have changed things. But yeah, momentum kept going and going. And if I was to sit here and say I've seen them winning the Premier League and something like that was happening, I'd be completely lying. But I did see that there was a good team spirit and there was a formula, and the formula, put simply, was either Casper to Vardy or Mahrez to Vardy and Kante running the show, and everybody else was dialed in to doing their jobs. And sometimes you don't change what isn't broken. And that season, every single player was just they played out their skin. The back four was every one of the back four could have gotten team of the year. That's how that season went, and that's what you needed to achieve what was achieved.
I mean, you've had the privilege to play for your hometown club in Leicester, but you've also played at different parts of the country, Bradford in Yorkshire, Brentford down in London, Bristol, of course, in Bristol, Stoke, and of course, Reading now. Is there any differences you could say playing football in the north versus the south versus in the Midlands? Do you find a difference amongst the fans, the support, the passion, or you've just relished every experience really of playing all over the country?
Um, it's a difficult one. I can only say two of the places you mentioned there was home, and
Mm.
that was Leicester and Reading, because I settled. I spent a period of time there. My family settled. Um, I got familiar with the area. But in terms of location, no, I just feel like it's a case of when football's going well on the pitch, everything else sorts itself out. So I've been lucky enough to find two homes in my time, as I say, Leicester and Reading. But no, I'm happy to play wherever really, as long as the family's happy and the football's good. I seem to settle pretty well.